Welcome to your first module on your degree programme here at Margil. We've put together a short video to introduce us as staff, the content incorporated into your first module, our teaching approach for this module, a quick assessment overview, and your suggested reading list. This module intends to support your induction into university and academic study. Therefore, we will focus on your study skills such as using the library, using our search engines to find reliable information, and referencing the work you read in your assignments. Please watch this short video before your first session, or if you aren't able to access this until after, please watch it as soon as you can after.
Hi everyone. Lee asked me to record a video just to kind of say hi in terms of the module, the immersive module. We're going to be talking about on the module various aspects of the public sector, understanding the public sector sports organisations, their characteristics, the sports landscape, and begin to talk about sports governance. Now, why we've got these themes that we're going to unpack or start to introduce. The focus of the module also is going to be on developing your study skills. So between Lee and myself, we'll be helping you to think about how you find resources, how you reference, how you create presentations, and produce professional reports and things like that. So hopefully our input will help.
Hello, my name's Lee. I'm the module leader. I'm going to be taking you through most of your face-to-face delivery. You'll have a couple of sessions with Tash as well. My role is essentially to support you through this module, to help you with any queries you have or any skills that you require or require support with. This module is essentially going to be based around your study skills, your career development, and then introducing you to the content required to then move into the next semester A modules. If you have any issues, please contact me. Please let me know and we can have a one-on-one chat at any time. Look forward to starting with you. We are using a blended approach to our teaching in this module. We have planned for a number of traditional face-to-face sessions following social distancing and COVID guidelines. These will take place on-site, in classrooms, and will be on your timetables with a set classroom. On the weekly schedules in this module, these will be highlighted green. We are calling these face-to-face and located in the sense that they will happen in person and at a specific physical location. We aim to record all of these sessions, with these being made available on Learning Space within 48 hours for anyone who didn't attend. We're also planning to live feed as many of these as we can, so anyone who has to work from home but is available at that specific time can log in from home. We will do our best to support those from home, whether they are taking part live or watching back after. However, please remember, these sessions are designed for face-to-face delivery. We are also running a number of sessions online. Some of these will be live, where we log in to Microsoft Teams and take part in the lesson as if it were in a classroom. This will clearly be a bit different, as you won't have your peers around you. However, we'll be planning to use breakout rooms over Microsoft Teams for a number of these sessions to ensure there is still opportunity for you to discuss the content with your peers, as you would if you were in the classroom. As this may be new for you, we would expect there to be some technical issues which we are happy to support you with. The plan for these sessions are for everyone to have their cameras on. However, if this isn't possible, or you feel uncomfortable with this, you can still access this session without your camera. As these sessions are online and not in a physical classroom, you will need to click on the session link to access the virtual classroom. The link will not be in your calendars on your Margil timetables. Instead, we have put these links on your weekly schedule on Learning Space and in the drop-down menus for each week on Learning Space. We'll show you exactly where later in this video. We'll be aiming to record all of these sessions, and if you are unable to attend, you can watch this back later. Please be aware that any small group discussion in breakout rooms will not be recorded, so you may miss out on some of these discussions. The third and final type of lesson will be called online and asynchronous. These sessions will be online, however they won't be live. This essentially means that you can access this session in your own time, although some sessions will be planned with the expectancy that you've accessed these already. On Learning Space there are suggested dates for you to complete these by. These are only suggestions, and we are aware that sometimes things get in the way. However, you should work towards these mini deadlines as often as you can. In this module, we are using these sessions to mainly set you tasks to complete either by yourself or in small groups, which will help you develop your understanding of some of the topics we're covering in this module, or will be directly related to your assessment. As these sessions aren't live, you may feel you can't access support when you need it. For example, in a live session, you can ask the question at the same time. It's important you ask us for help if you are unsure of anything during these tasks. This can either be done by sending one of us a message on Microsoft Teams or by booking in to see us. We'll cover this more in the first session. You can find the week schedule at the top of each weekly drop-down menu. So for example, if we open week 1, you can see weekly schedule week 1, and if we open that, you get your weekly schedule. In the left-hand column, you will see the date, the time, and the room for that session, and in the right-hand column, you will see the topic title, your lecturer, and the teaching approach. Now remember those terms we used earlier. Face-to-face located sessions are highlighted in green. Live online sessions, also known as connected, as we're connecting you through a virtual classroom, are in blue. And those activities and tasks which we set you each week, but you have some flexibility over when to do these, are known as asynchronous and are in yellow. As you can see, this week we have our face-to-face located sessions on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. This changes for weeks 2 and 3 to Tuesdays and Thursdays. Your face-to-face sessions will be delivered by myself and Phil Brown as your module staff, although you will see more of me in this module. You have live online connected sessions on Microsoft Teams on Mondays and Wednesdays with Phil or myself, and you also have 1 or 2 on Fridays. To access these sessions, you will need to click on the link, click here to access this session within your weekly schedule, or if we go back to the Learning site, Learning Space main page, underneath the relevant sessions, the link is there as well. Click here to access this session. Clicking on one of these links will open Microsoft Teams for you if it's installed on your device already, and that's far better because you have additional functionality. If you don't have Microsoft Teams, you can open it in your web browser, again by clicking on this link, but it will open up as a separate tab in your web browser. It will still work, but your functionality will be limited. On your weekly schedule, we can see these sessions in yellow. You will be set tasks on Learning Space for these. So for example, on Learning Space, you will have student tasks, the date you should complete it by, and either a separate page below or the tasks simply listed there for you to try and complete in that session. Please make sure you complete these as we'll be regularly monitoring your attendance, engagement, and completion of these tasks. Your assessment for this module is split into 2 tasks. The first task is individual and more extensive in terms of the amount you will have to do, and that is your EduBlog task here. You're required to build your own professional website through EduBlogs. We'll cover this more in your first session. However, there is additional support on this link here at the bottom of the page. The EduBlog requires you to build 4 separate pages, and there are a number of tasks that you need to complete within each of these pages. So the first page is your About Me, and you should see this EduBlog as your professional website, your professional blog, or your professional social media. So within that, you need to produce a brief outline of yourself and your interests, and an appropriate picture or a professional picture of yourself. In the study skills section, you would need to complete 2 worksheet tasks that we set you in the first week. One of those will be based around using the library, and one of those will be based around using Discovery, which is the search engine tool platform we have here at Marjon. Once you've completed those, you can then just upload them onto the study skills section of your website. You will also have to upload a completed gap analysis based on your wider study skills, and we're going to complete this in the first session you have. However, you may think that your study skills have improved, or you may understand your study skills more effectively as we go through this module. So we wouldn't expect you to submit this in the first week. We'd expect you to look at this again in the second, the third, and your 4th week of your module, and maybe update or change what you initially said. So essentially, you're going to review the effectiveness of your study skills and plan how you might improve them. But as I've said, you may change your opinion of your study skills as you go through the module. You're then going to complete a short written reflection on your wider study skills, such as how well you manage your time, how organised you are, how motivated you are to study and whether that changes at different points of the day, your concentration levels and whether you have a set amount of time that you can concentrate really well for, and how well you know that. The effectiveness of your workspaces, and that could be personal in terms of, do you have a desk, or are you kind of confined to your bedroom to work? And also professional workspaces, so such as the Marjan Library or any other workspace, and how effectively you use them. And your note-taking strategies, and we'll cover this more in the first week of this module. And anything else that you might think of that you want to talk about in terms of your study skills. The third page is going to be based on your employability. So with this, you're going to need to find 5 related jobs to your study program. You're going to need to post the links of those 5 jobs. However, there are some requirements that you would need to follow. For example, those jobs must be current, or they must be from within the previous 12 months. If they're older than that, you won't be able to use them unless you get your module leader's permission. And we will only give permission in kind of extreme circumstances. You would then need to download the job description from that website. And again, if that job doesn't have a job description, you won't be able to use it. So you would need to make sure you find 5 jobs that are current or in the past 12 months with a job description. You post the link, so you copy and paste the link. You download the job description plus any other documentation such as salary or additional benefits or anything else that you might find. You would then need to put the link on your EduBlog and upload all of the documents that you've downloaded, including the job description. You would then narrow that down to one job, so you select one of those 5 jobs, and you're going to create and upload a specific CV for that job and a specific supporting statement for that job. Now, you will have timetable sessions from the careers teams in the 3rd and 4th week of this module where we can support you with creating those. So you would then go away and create them and upload them onto your EduBlog. The 4th page is going to be based around the sport and landscape, and we start to introduce this as a topic in the 3rd week. So you're going to complete a short report, approximately 1,000 to 1,500 words, although we're not going to be too rigid on the word count at this stage. And in that, you're going to discuss the sport and landscape. Now, it's going to be a report, so you can use subheadings, and you're going to write it for someone else to read so they could understand what the sport and landscape looks like in England. And the sport and landscape is quite confusing and complex. So what we're going to ask you to do is discuss these 4 different organisations. So first of all, you're going to discuss central government, and the government department is called the DCMS, so the Department of Culture, Media and Sport. And you're going to discuss the role that they have in sport, whether that's setting policy or whether that's doing anything more active in terms of actually physically being there to support sport and physical activity provision. That then breaks down to local authorities or councils. So we'd like you to focus on a particular local authority within Devon or Cornwall and what role they play within delivering sport and physical activity. Your 3rd section will be based on non-department public bodies. So the 2 to focus on there are Sport England and UK Sport and what role they play and what they do within sport. And then the 4th section will be governing bodies. Now for this, we'd like you to select one sport and discuss the role that the national organisation, the national governing body, so for example, it might be the FA or the RFU, any national governing body, what role they play within sport, and the local, the regional governing body. So that might be the Devon FA or the Devon RFU or whichever sport you pick, or again, it could be Cornwall if that's the region you want to look at, and what role they play within sport. Your report should be written in 3rd person, and what that essentially means is you're not allowed to use words like I or we. So you're writing it for someone, so they are going to read it to understand how sport in the UK, what the sport and landscape looks like in the UK. You should reference, and we're going to cover that in the 2nd week of this module. So this is going to be your first chance to start to include appropriate APA references. As I've said, we'll cover that more through the module. So if you don't quite understand that yet, that's okay. Now your deadline to complete that is the 30th of October. This module finishes its taught element on Friday the 23rd of October, and then you have a week off, so you have your independent study week. So the study you're going to do in that week will be finalising everything you need to complete these 4 sections of your EduBlog task. Now, if we go down to page 2, you will see a marking framework. And we will use these for all of the assessments you have on your degree. So this assessment, we've weighted more towards transferable skills. So 50% of the mark you get will be based on transferable skills. Now, these 4 components in green here will always exist. So there will always be knowledge and understanding, intellectual, practical and transferable. And most assignments you might find have a heavier weight towards knowledge and understanding because that's what we're looking for. In this module, we've weighted it more towards the transferable skills. So you might want to look at these components here and focus on those a bit more because that will play a larger role in the grade you get. Doesn't mean you should neglect these because if you combine these 3 things together, that's still 50%. But obviously this one is weighted a lot heavier. And then on the 3rd page, we have our generic grade descriptors. So depending on the grade that you're working for, so 40% is the minimum you need to pass. This is the type of thing that we'd expect for you to pass. If you're looking at higher, 50 to 59, again, this is the type of thing we're looking at. 60 to 69, this is the type of thing we're looking at, etc. But the marking framework might give you a little bit more specific detail about the types of things that you need to discuss and also the types of things that we're going to assess you against in terms of giving you a grade. Now, the grade we give you for this assessment, for both assessments in this module, will be pass-fail, but we will give you a shadow grade. So we will tell you you're working towards a 40% or a 50% or whatever it may be. Your second assessment for this module was a presentation task. Now you're going to complete this as a group, approximately about 3 of you. We're going to call this your huddle. We'll explain what this means more through the module. But as a group, you're required to plan and deliver a 10 to 15 minute presentation on the 3 sectors of sport. And we're going to cover them in the first couple of weeks of this module. So in your presentation, you should discuss the characteristics of each sector, so the private, the public, and the voluntary. And within your discussion of the characteristics, you should use examples from case studies discussed in this module and/or your wider research. So we will have specific sessions where we discuss the characteristics of each one, and specific sessions where we look at case studies of each one. So you're expected to tie that together and pull that together to discuss the 3 sectors. The second part of your presentation requires you as a group to select one sports organisation of your choice and discuss how they engage with each sector. So we'd recommend a national organisation, a national governing body, a sports club or a leisure centre gym, and we'd discuss kind of the options you have within these more throughout the module. But the reason we suggest these is because each of these tend to engage with all 3 sectors. They might sit predominantly within one sector. So if we look at a national governing body such as the FA or the RFU, they're voluntary sector organisations, but they do have commercial aspect and engage with sponsors and investments to bring money in. So there is a private aspect to it, and they also receive government funding. So there is a public aspect to it. So if you pick an organisation that fits one of these, or you can select your own, if you know that it engages with each of the sectors, then you can create a critical discussion of how they engage with those 3 sectors. Now, each member of your group are required to submit your PowerPoint presentation on Turnitin before you present. You'll be presenting on Thursday the 15th of October, and they must all be on there before. It can be 20 minutes before if you wish, it can be a day before, but all of you in your group must submit it on Turnitin before. You also must all submit the same PowerPoint. So if one of you 3-4 days before decides you're going to submit it to get it out of the way, but you make some changes, and therefore the rest of your group submits something slightly different, that will cause your group an issue. So make sure you've finalised it and you're ready to all submit. Your grade is awarded as a group. However, we do reserve the right to change this if an individual performs significantly above or below the rest of the group in relation to the planning and/or delivery of your presentation. Now, your presentation is marked as pass-fail like the previous assessment, like the EduBlog task, and you must pass both the presentation and the EduBlog to successfully pass this module. If you fail, then that will result in us discussing the resit option with you. So there is a resit option that you can explore, and we'll discuss that with you more through the module. If we look at the marking framework, we've still weighted it heavily towards transferable skills, but slightly less, and we've slightly increased practical skills.
So if we combine these two together, that's 70% of the grade you're going to be awarded will be practical and transferable. And the types of things we're talking about in here is your presentation, so in terms of what the PowerPoint looks like and its design, your verbal and non-verbal communication, your ability to work together as a group, your wider reading, appropriate use of APA referencing, and also evidence of preparing this and rehearsing this and not just turning up on the day and doing it off the cuff. That will count towards 70% of your grade. The other 30% is based around your knowledge and understanding of the three sectors and how organisations can engage with all three. And then your intellectual is whether you can synthesise how an organisation engages with all three effectively.
One of the key differences between studying in higher education and your previous education experience is around your reading. You are now required to read a lot more than you've been used to before, and you are expected to read from more academic sources. This is something which you will need to increase through your programme, and by the end of your degree you will spend most of your study time reading academic sources. At the start of your degree, you should get used to reading from books and academic journals, and increasing the amount of reading you do throughout your first year. On Learning Space for your module, you have a key module information resource in your module information drop-down menu. If you open this and go to the final section of this, section 5, reading list, you can see we provided you with a reading list. You do not have to read all of this. However, this is a good list of reliable sources linked to this module. Clearly, the more you read, the more informed you will be. As a degree student, you are expected to develop your knowledge through taught sessions and wider research, such as reading. Here's a suggestion of books which are available in the library, as you can see here. You won't have to read the entire book, as that can take some time. However, you will find key chapters in these which link to this module. Reading a chapter can be a good way to enhance your understanding. This list isn't exhaustive, and you can read other books you find. There's also a link here which will take you directly into the library catalogue, and that has more books linked to this module. You will have a session in the first week of your module where you will learn how to use the library and where we will explain why the catalogue is a good place to find books. We've also recommended some journals. To make things easier, you can view a journal as an organisation, for example, the ones listed here. They then release volumes at set points which they decide, and then a number of issues per volume. For example, they may release a volume every year, and they may release 4 different issues within that volume. Within each issue are a number of articles. What we've listed here aren't articles. These are the journal names. So within that, you will find lots of different articles that will be divided by different issues which sit within a volume. Articles accepted by these journals are written by academics who are mostly employed by universities. Arguably, these are the most reliable sources and the most reliable way for you to develop your knowledge. This is because these sources are peer-reviewed. You'll learn more about what this means in the first week of your module. However, this essentially means every article has been reviewed by other academics within that area before it is accepted. This is important as it means it's been scrutinised, whereas anyone can write a book or anyone can put anything online. The main drawback of journal articles are they can be quite difficult to read and include specific language which may be difficult to follow. They are also quite long. However, you should start trying to read these as early as possible. By the time this first module is finished, you should be ready to start reading these because the next 2 modules in semester A will include a number of journal articles, so you will need to get yourself ready in preparation for reading these. You can also access information from websites. This can be quite dangerous as anyone can put anything online. Therefore, we don't know whether it's reliable. You should avoid websites like Wikipedia, and if you do use these, then you should read around what you've learnt after to check it's reliable. You should not reference Wikipedia. When you read from websites, and that informs what you include in your assessments, we as the marker will be quite cautious about the reliability of what you're saying, and we're more likely to check that. Some websites are more reliable, for example, organisations who operate within this sector, such as these. As I said earlier, it's important for you to get used to reading early, seeing this as a habit and something that is essential to your learning. If your learning only comes from your taught sessions, you will find your degree quite difficult. Combining your taught sessions with regular reading will have a positive effect on your progress and therefore your assessments and grades. If you aren't in the habit to do this, start slow and steady. Try reading for 30 minutes each day until you're ready to build this up a little. If you're used to reading a lot already, maybe you should try to read in longer periods. For example, an hour or two at a time, but maybe every other day instead. If you're finding this difficult, please come and speak to us. Your PDT, your tutor, your module leader, or other lecturers and student support can be really useful as a tool to help you improve this. Good luck with this module. I hope you're looking forward to starting. We are certainly looking forward to helping you through this and onto your next modules after.